I'm Phil Hellmuth Jr. Aside from winning, there's no better feeling for a poker player than to be sitting on a monster stack in the late stages of a tournament. It's a power position where you feel like you can make your opponents bend to your will and do exactly what you want. And that's why a big stack can get you into trouble if you're not careful. In this lesson, we'll show you how to use your big stack to its maximum advantage and how to avoid putting yourself in spots where you're risking your chips unnecessarily. And believe me, I've blown plenty of chip leads in my life, and I've seen tons of other players blow chip leads. In any case, while sitting on a big stack may make you feel like the most powerful poker player in the world, the fact is, it only takes a few mistakes before you find yourself moving from the penthouse to the outhouse. In other words, just because you can be the table bully when you're sitting on the big stack doesn't mean you should be throwing your chips around recklessly. Instead, you should be looking for spots where you can apply maximum pressure to your opponents without worrying about losing too many chips if you should meet some resistance. Be aggressive, yes, but be smart and use position to your advantage whenever possible. Remember, just because you may be able to bust every player at the table doesn't mean you have to take unnecessary risks or put yourself in positions where you risk losing a lot of chips with a marginal hand. To use your big stack effectively, look for spots where you can attack tight players who are in the blinds, or players who are tightening up their games in an attempt to survive the money bubble or to reach the final table. Remember, these players aren't going to want to risk bubbling out of the tournament and are likely to fold everything but the very best hands when you apply pressure with your raise. Raise it, raise it, raise it. The same holds true of players with medium-sized stacks. These players aren't going to want to gamble for their tournament life unless they're holding a very strong hand, which means they aren't going to put up a lot of resistance when you raise their blinds. And on the occasions that they do play back at you, that they do re-raise you, you'll be able to put them on a relatively narrow range of hands, fairly easily. Yeah, they have it, baby. Which will help you determine whether you want to play a big pot or lay down your hand and look for a better spot later on. With that in mind, be sure to keep a close eye on the effective size of your opponent's chip stack when you decide to open a pot. If your opponent is short-stacked and has no fold equity, consider whether you're willing to play for their entire stack if they decide to move all in on you. If you're not willing to call an all-in bet, then probably shouldn't raise your opponent, because you don't have to double up very many players before your chip stack is just a shadow of its former self. When you have that big chip stack, keep a little pressure on, but don't be too reckless like I was the other day.